Hello and welcome back once again. I'm Rich Scrivani. Today we're being joined by, I guess the best word to describe him would be entrepreneur. He's written, directed, and produced his own films, had his own radio and television shows, and even finds time to put out a magazine. Well, why am I going on about it in the Film Vault? Let's go outside and meet genre man of many hats, Ted Bohus, on this edition of Front Row.
Well, thank you very much. This was nice being here, and I'll see you later.
Can you come again sometime?
Oh, yes. Fine. Thank you very much.
Ted Bohus, producer, director, writer. Such films as Vampire Vixens from Venus, Regenerated Man. And is this a new one? The Alien Factor?
Metamorphosis, the Alien Factor. Well, it was new in 1991, but now it's sort of...
It's not a new one, folks. Didn't do your homework.
They went Deadly Spawn, Metamorphosis, the Alien Factor, Regenerated Man, Vampire Vixens, and the one we're doing now, This Thing of Ours.
Okay.
I'm leaving out the little ones, the ones in Denver, like Mind Killer and Lone Wolf and that sort of stuff.
Well, we've got to get into the one that you're doing a little bit later, the one with the,
I'll wait here.
Actors from what's the show?
Sopranos.
Sopranos, yeah. Okay, my usual first question, I have to know, what got you interested in films and in doing what you do now? What basically, go back.
I think like everyone did, shooting the low-budget films, the low-budget Super 8 movies with friends, started you out. And from that, it just grew. I wanted to get into 16mm and bigger formats, right away. So after doing a couple of, my friend Charlie Chubeck, who was a big influence in the early days, we used to make these little Super 8 films together, and then moved into 16mm. He went into commercials, and I went into trying to do features. And I teamed up with Don Dohler to try to do a couple low-budget films in Baltimore. And after that, I just started my own company, out here. And the first film we did was The Deadly Spawn. Got picked up. Actually, they were bidding on it for distribution. And it's very strange when you have a movie that it was only shot for $19,000 or $20,000 that people are talking about giving it a theatrical release. Mm-hmm. So, and that's exactly what happened. We were picked up. I think Troma, RKR, and finally 21st Century and a few other places were bidding on it. When that happened, I said, well, let me take the film and send it to Paramount, because Paramount at the time was in New York. And I said, let me see, just to get an idea. I knew they'd never take it. It was a $20,000 movie, but I sent it in. The New York office said they liked it because those gore films were hot at the time in the early 80s. So they said that it passed by the board, and they said they were shipping my only 16mm print out to California, and if they passed that, Paramount would pick up the film. And I got a call about 2 weeks later from the office in New York, and they said, well, they just thought the film was a little too rough for them. But I'm like, oh my God, it's a $20,000 movie. So,
and a very good ad campaign too. The artwork, the posters.
Yeah, they did a pretty good. Well, Tim Hildebrandt did the art. He's the guy that did the Hildebrandt brothers did the art for the Star Wars movie and the what was the other one?
No, that I didn't know. But I didn't know.
Yeah, the Hildebrandt brothers did the Star Wars poster, and they also did Clash of the Titans, Secret of Nim, and Deadly Spawn. That was the only
That's when they had real posters. Now they're all photographs and stuff and everything.
Yeah. Now they combine photographs, but those were real posters.
I have no more questions. Is there anything you wanted to?
Anything you wanted to add? No.
Actually, Ted's a very big fan of stop motion animation, which I think turns up in most of your stuff. Right.
I try.
You were influenced by Ray Harryhausen. You know him, don't you? Or,
Sure. Yeah, for many years. I mean, stop motion. Those kind of films were the first. King Kong, Seventh Voyage of Sinbad were the first influences that made you want to get into films. And those are, of course, the first films I tried doing little claymation things in Super 8. And whenever I can, I try to stick, stop motion in the film. In Metamorphosis, we had a big enough budget. I mean, it was over $1 million budget, so we could really build. We had like a 10,000 square foot warehouse, and we built sets, and they built miniature sets for the animation, which was I mean, we had a lot of it in that film. So, and it was all our effects in that film where the opticals, the stop motion, was all done the traditional way. There was no CGI when we shot the film in 1990. So everything you see, all the opticals, all the miniatures, everything was actual stop motion.
How did you come up with the idea for Vampire Vixens? Was that your...
I don't know. After Deadly Spawn hit the theaters, and that turned out well, I didn't want to do another real low-budget film. I wanted to really go up from 16mm to 35 right away, and I turned down a lot of smaller deals, which I never should have done. You should, if you get offers to do the jobs, take them, because it took about 3.5 years to raise the money to make that jump up to 35. And then after that film was such a horrifying experience because it was a lot of backstabbing and behind-the-scenes politics that I just said, you know something, I just want to do a little film, small film that I can control myself, that I can produce, direct, write, edit myself. And so that's what, we did Regenerated Man. And then after that, when we did Regenerated Man, we had a number of companies bidding on it. So what I was trying to do was I told the one company, look, instead of bidding on this film, why don't you just, the same money you're offering me for that, finance another movie? And they said, okay. And I gave them a choice of 2 or 3 scripts. And stupidly, they picked Vampire Vixens from Venus. It just happened to be the wrong time for that movie. When I tried to convince them to change the title, even though I thought the title was good at the time, a bunch of movies came out with titles like Test Tube Teens from the year 2000 and Beach Babes from Beyond and that sort of thing. And the video stores bought into them heavily, and they were complete garbage. Even worse than my film. I mean, they were really just an excuse to get girls in the bikinis. So nobody rented them. They lost tons of money. And I said, we can't have another film called Vampire Vixens. It's going to be, even though we do have aliens and ray guns and spaceships and morphing and stuff, it's still going to get lumped in with those films.
Yeah.
So I said, let's change it. We'll call it Alien Invaders or something different to make the title a little more serious. They said, no, we love that title. Blah, blah. They went out with it, and that's exactly what happened. We got lumped into that category, and the video store stayed away in droves because they just, when they put it in the computer, it had Beach Babes from Beyond, Test Tube Teens. They showed how bad they were. Vampire Vixens went right in there with them, and they just canceled. We got half our orders knocked off within a few weeks.
Oh, God, really? What a shame.
Yeah.
At the height of sexual ecstasy, men are supposed to produce this fluid that's vital to these alien existence. So they, how can I say this gently? They suck it out of the guys, and right? Am I right about that? Can we say that on TV?
Sort of. I don't know. Sort of. They drain the guys. They have this little skull device they stick on their head, and this optical turns. It just sucks them all into this husk.
Yeah.
And
hence
so that's
vampires. Next to vampires.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what was that shot on? I think did you say 16?
16.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Regenerated Man was 35. That was 16.
Mm-hmm. Now it seems lately, from what I've seen, it seems like you and Fred Olen Ray have teamed up in a certain kind of a way. Are you making films together? What's the story?
No, people always think that, but no. I've known Fred since the early '80s because we were getting screwed by the same. Can you say screwed? I don't know. We were getting screwed by the same distribution company, 21st Century, but I won't mention the name. And so we just got to be friends. And whenever he's here, I'll just throw him in a cameo. And if I'm out there, he throws me in a cameo. I do stunts.
They're nice cars, those cameos.
Yes, aren't they? Very. So anyway. Hey, moving right along.
I'm just trying to keep up with you.
Yeah. So. Okay.
Stop! 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 Get out! I need your car. Get your ass on.
Yeah, so that was it. We tried to team up a couple times to do a film, but it just, he's out there, I'm over here. It's just, it's tough.
Well, when I see you at conventions such as FanX, you guys seem like you make a natural comedy team together.
Yeah. Well, we're both idiots, and we're not afraid to make fools of ourselves, so that helps.
That which brings me to another segues nicely into the next question about watching you sometimes at these conventions. I thought, I wonder if you ever tried stand-up comedy, and you told me
years and years ago, a guy by the name of Hal Ennis, I worked with him putting together a comedy caravan. It was called Comedy Caravan on Route 17. Or Route 4, I'm not even remember. And we had everyone in there. We had Seinfeld, we had Eddie Murphy. I used to go pick up Eddie Murphy at the bus station, pay him $20 and pay his bus fare. And one time he was late, so I had to fill 5 minutes, and I had to go up and do stand-up waiting for Eddie Murphy to come in. And Hal has all these tapes. I mean, he should put out a disc or something eventually, because he has all these guys when they first started out, there. Yeah. Of course, years later, when Eddie made it, and I went to visit him on Saturday Night Live, he completely ignored me. But hey, look,
Well, hey, maybe he can't do anything with these tapes. Maybe there'd be grounds for a lawsuit.
maybe, I don't know, but I'd like to get my hands on a copy.
Oh, sure, that'd be great to see. And you also did something called, I'm trying to dredge up the things that maybe people don't know about you.
Dredge is a good word.
You know, the crimes, the things that the stuff you were involved with. And, no,
The crime.
just
No,
kidding.
There was nothing.
A show called,
I know where Hoff is. What?
a show you used to do a show on cable access?
Oh yeah, well, we would Channel 10. Joanne Santilli and myself put together a show called Hollywood East. We did a radio show first, right here at WVNJ, and that lasted for about a year. And then we decided to turn it into an actual video format, like we're doing right here.
Mm-hmm.
So we did it, and you know, we were up for an award, which we lost. And but it was kind of neat. We had Ray was on there, and I think Danny Aiello was interviewed, Oscar De La Renta. You know,
Hey.
it was kind of cool.
Pretty big names.
So yeah, it was a fun show, but
How'd you get Danny Aiello?
that was it. We just called him up and asked him. I mean, yeah, we're all local, you know,
yeah.
New Jersey guys. And
Okay.
Same way we got him for this new film.
Yeah.
And so.
So Ray Harryhausen talked about his career, and
Oh yeah, Ray was great. We have clips of all of his films. He was really good.
Now-
He's a good guy.
yeah, you've you have a magazine that you're putting out now, which
Well, that I have been putting out since 1976, I guess.
oh, that was mine. I thought you had a different one back then.
Yeah, that's it.
This is what, but
Whopping 9 issues in 20 years.
But you took a hiatus from this
Yeah.
so many years back.
Yeah, when I did a few films in a row, it just it was very expensive to do them the old way, and now with the computers, I actually can do all the stuff at home. So it's like you know, with Harriet, my partner, we just the two of us on computers put together the whole thing right in the house, and that's it. You just give the disc to the printer, and you get magazines.
Well, it is a really good magazine. The picture reproduction is fabulous.
Well,
The
we
pictures jump
print
out at
on 80-pound glossy archival paper, which like no one prints on. It's very expensive, but you know, we're in. You know, Lucas likes the magazines. It's in ILM and Phil Tippett and Hugh Hefner. And when you get people like that you know have the magazines in their places and they give them out, you have to maintain the quality. Of course, I'm going broke in the process, but it's but at least they look pretty good.
Well, I don't know how you find the time to do both, but
And Chiller, I do Chiller Theater magazine as well.
yeah. Oh, I
for
didn't know you were
Kevin.
involved with that. I thought
Yeah.
Kevin did that. I didn't know.
Yeah,
it was
no, I do the editing and the laying out, the same thing.
Now, speaking of editing,
Speaking of editing.
now again, I hope I have my facts correct, but you edited Regenerated Man, right?
Yeah.
Is that the only film you've edited?
Well, I've pretty much supervised the editing on all the films, but yeah, that's pretty much the only one I've really done a lot of hands-on stuff myself. I don't like the editing process myself.
You just ate up my next question.
I like to take the I like to give the film and all the material and all the notes to an editor that's their job, that's what they do, and let them do a first cut of a scene. And they may come up with stuff that I never even realized was there. I mean, they'll pull a shot from somewhere else and stick something in there and make a nice sequence out of it, and I may look at it and say, oh, this is great, or I'm saying that's nothing what I want, this has to be longer, this has to be shorter, but I like to give the editor the first shot at doing their job. And then after that, I'll come in and say, I think this should be changed around or moved, or that's totally wrong, but it's always good to give them the,
So you don't
for
like
sure.
really sitting in on the first.
No, I don't like sitting there and doing editing. It's just too, now with the offline editing systems they have, it's a little easier to edit. I would never edit the conventional way again. I was totally spoiled on doing it that way for Regenerated Man. They for Vampire Victims we went back to cutting, and I had a crew that was awful. So
Yeah.
I'll never go back to that way again.
It's very-
This new editing is
It's very tedious.
Oh yeah,
Matching and all
yeah.
that stuff.
I
done a
like
little-
seeing the scene first, then making the changes there after I see the scene.
Yeah. And you did some special. You were credited with special visual effects. This isn't one of your films, I take it. 1 Million Heels BC.
No, see, this is one of these things with Fred. Me and Fred put our names in each other's films and we make up things.
Makeup credits.
Make up credits. I don't do special effects. I design special effects and I do pictures of monsters and things that they do, but I don't do special effects. But Fred in a film will put me in there as a stuntman, as an effects guy, or whatever in his film. I've never even seen 1 Million Heels BC, so I have no idea. But on the internet. When people go and they look at these credits, if you're in there, they put you. So you put my name in, and it gives all these credits on films I had nothing to do with.
Oh, okay.
Actually, maybe I shouldn't be saying that. I actually did do the effects on 1 Million Heels BC. It was a fantastic job.
Now let's talk a little bit about the film you're working on now.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Pass the ball.
Okay. It's myself and my partner, Danny Provenzano. put together a film called This Thing of Ours, translated La Cosa Nostra. Mob films right now are very big. The Sopranos is like the biggest thing on television. And so we wrote a screenplay and we gave it around, and we just started getting calls from people like Danny Aiello and Frank Vincent saying they enjoyed it and they'd like to be part of it. We even had Armand Assante for a while, but he took another job. But he's the one that made the phone call to Anthony Quinn for us to get him in the film. So right now we have Anthony Quinn, Danny Aiello, Pat Cooper, Vincent Pastore, from The Sopranos, Big Pussy from The Sopranos. Right. I say Frank Vincent and Chuck Zito from Oz, and Louis, Christian, the three kids that play the young mobsters in the film, and Danny plays one of them. And it's just a fun film. It's sort of like an MTV version of The Sopranos. It's a very fast-moving, film, and we're having a lot of fun with it. And so after the financing got into place, we just started going into it, and we're shooting 35. So we've already have interest from a number of studios, including we have a meeting with Blockbuster, and HBO sent their people down because they're looking to have someone do a big mob film next, and they wanted to take a look at our stuff and see if we might be candidates for that. And so hopefully that'll work out.
Where are you shooting?
All over the place. We're shooting at the South City Grill, the two of them, one in Paramus, the other in Mountain Lakes. We're shooting in Hoboken at a few social clubs. We're shooting up in Fort Lee. All over the place, all over New Jersey. But all locations are in New Jersey. Yeah,
how long have you? Where are you? At what point are you now?
We're about 75% done.
Huh.
We've got another maybe week and a half here. Then we're shooting a week in Florida at the Fontainebleau Hotel.
So this may be the start of a whole new phase of filmmaking for you, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, this is big. I mean, we have it's a decent budget. We have names in the cast. We have studios that are interested in the film right now. So yeah, this is a good. This might be something good.
Yeah,
we're going to see. I think we've just bought the rights to a book called The Boys from New Jersey. So that might be the next project we do.
Well, you heard it here, folks.
That's right. This is the first place that with Armand Assante may be attached to that project. So
how about? I'm always interested in hearing about actors and actresses. Where you find them, I guess where a lot of people find them in backstage. But if you have any favorite people that you like to work with?
Well, it changes, every film. I mean, we do like everybody does. We put the ads in, and or get recommendations from other people. I mean, this is the first film that I've actually shot that's SAG. I mean, we've shot with a union crew, but we haven't shot SAG films. So this is we've shot SAG, which is its own world of problems and horrors, with union things, but. But no, we just, I like to the casting process is fun because you can actually try to, you imagine certain characters in the film, and now you can actually put faces to those, to those characters. And like, when you've written something, you say, oh, wouldn't it be great if Vincent Pastore would be in that, part, or a Frank Vincent or someone like that. And now all of a sudden, these people are reading the dialogue, and you're saying, wow, this is really, so that's really neat.
Must be great to see somebody that just encapsulates what you pictured.
Yeah.
Be able to.
Well, you have to really enjoy the process, the filmmaking process, and that's all part of it. I mean, to me, the whole process is fun. Right from casting all the way up to the to the final screening is a lot of fun, and you have to really enjoy that. Otherwise, you just go nuts.
Yeah. How about the distribution end of it? Do you get involved with that, or?
On some of them, yeah. I mean, on the low budget films, you have to do everything because you really have no money. So it's like you really have to get involved in all the phases yourself, and you have to take the film to distributors to have your screenings, and sometimes even get more involved. I mean, I used to go to the American film market just about every year to check out things there. If I had a film, in the film market, and really get involved, they'd like you to sit and talk with the potential buyers. Someone's going to, plunk down $100 grand or $200 grand on a film. They have you talking, to the people. So, yeah, I've been involved in that part of it. I don't like, doing it, but the most fun for me is the screening. When you actually have the film and it's being screened on a full theater-sized screen, and you have everybody in the audience and they're there with their families and everything. That to me is a lot of fun.
It's not nerve-wracking
the
first time, first screening.
And that's always by the time the screening is, we've already drank 2 or 3 bottles of champagne. You're drunk. We don't at that point. We don't care what happens. As long as we don't throw up on ourselves, that's all we care about at that point.
That's considered a successful evening.
Which has happened at the screening for we screened Regenerated Man at Planet Hollywood, and we had unlimited champagne, just cases of it brought in, and so people were walking around just drinking the bottles, and it was great. By the end of the evening, they had to take one of the actors and forcibly throw him out onto the street because he was, well, never mind, it's another.
Oh, come on, you get to the good part. And you
Another
stop.
horrible. Well, he was just he went completely berserk and was doing drugs and drinking and attacking people, and it was he was just totally off his rocker. So they were apologizing. We're sorry, we have to throw this guy out, but he's attacking the patrons. You know. I'm like, okay. So that's some of the fun you can have doing that.
Yeah. Well, this is the part I look forward to when I talk to somebody who's made films.
You're going to ask me those questions like my favorite curse word and all that stuff?
No, about your taxes. I want to know if you're cheating on your taxes.
We don't No, of course I am.
No, uncross your fingers.
Okay.
No, you have any on-the-set stories? Anything that's happened from any of the films you've made?
Well, there's stories on every film that are crazy. One of my favorites is when we were shooting Deadly Spawn. Sam Raimi and me were using the same lab, so we were looking at each other's rushes. So one day he comes in, he says, something, Ted? He goes, what do you think about this? He goes, we had, the name of the film was Book of the Dead, and he goes, I'm thinking of changing the title of Book of the Dead to Evil Dead. He goes, what do you think about that? I go, I don't like it. I think you should keep Book of the Dead. Go figure.
Yeah, well, can't always call them.
Yeah, well, when that opened, I mean, they of course opened. We opened right across the street from each other on Broadway, and the two theaters right across. And of course, his film opened first and was the big phenomenon. So when we opened, we were open and closed in 2 weeks. Everything just got killed by that film.
Yeah. Wow.
But again, we had a $20,000 film, and he even had like $150,000 to work with. So that was still a lot more than I had to try to compete on that level. But those were probably Deadly Spawn and Evil Dead were probably two of the last real low-budget films that got theatrical releases or decent theatrical releases. And I don't mean the ones like these films that they put another $500,000 into before they release it. I mean that Evil Dead that he shot for $150,000 and Deadly Spawn that I shot for $20,000. That was the film you saw on the screen. There was no what was that film that they did, the El Mariachi or something, where it was all the publicity was how cheap it was shot, but by the time Columbia put another, $250,000, $300,000 into all the editing and dubbing in English, it wasn't really that cheap movie anymore. It was, but I mean, films that were just the way they were shot, that's the way they were released. We probably had the last two out there because it just got too expensive now to go theatrical.
Deadly Spawn kind of got this reputation as a film that everybody and his brother worked on in New Jersey, or worked. Some people worked for free to get the experience and everything.
And some people said they worked on it that I never heard of. So that's,
wow.
That happens. Yeah, I'll be at a convention. Someone will say, "Oh, let me introduce you to my friend here. He worked on your film," and I'm like, "Oh, hi, how you doing? Who the hell is this guy?" Worked on it for a year. Yeah. It took us a year to film that movie. Well, we just shot on weekends. So up at the Hildebrand's house out there. So
right, it was all in one house, wasn't it? So
no, we had a few locations, but two or three of them were up there at their house. So we were practically living with them for a year. You can imagine having a film crew in your house.
Yeah.
For that long a time.
Hey, well, for a week it would be disruptive, but.
It was nuts.
Yeah. Any other on the set stories? Any incidents that happened with?
There's a million of them. There's a million of them.
Pick one or two
effects. Regenerated Man was kind of cool. I mean, if you can imagine, I wish you would have had cameras, behind the scenes, because when you see these creatures on the set, I mean, they just walk around, but they have pulsating brains and veins that are moving and all this kind of stuff that comes out of their fingers, and when you see them on screen, it looks like it's just that thing. But then if you pull the camera back, you see 15 guys on the ground blowing on tubes and pumping on stuff to make their heads do this, and it's just hysterical. So one time we're shooting, and all of a sudden I could not stop laughing, and it was just it's just we had to stop for a second because I just like you're concentrating on the creature, and he's walking forward with this stuff and this pulsating brain and all this stuff moving around, and all of a sudden I just happened to, because the lights are on, I happen to look down, and there, as he's walking, skimpering behind, there are like 15 people blowing into hoses and pumping little things, and it just cracked me up, and it's just that kind of stuff you wish you have on for a blooper reel.
It's like if you've ever done community theater, it's like being in a play and you're in the middle of a performance and you snap out of it for a second and look at what you're doing, and people watching you with slabs of makeup on you and everything. It's like you can't help but laugh. Hopefully you don't laugh, but
Oh, it's nuts. But we had a lot of people that worked on these films go on to do bigger stuff. I mean, John Dodds that worked on Deadly Spawn now works doing all the stuff for Disney for what's that Disney film that he works on? Beauty and the Beast. Vincent Guastini has gone on to work on Last of the Mohicans and just won awards. Super Mario Brothers. Dogma. He did all the effects for. He's doing big stuff.
Oh, Kevin Smith's film.
Yeah. And Dan Taylor that worked on 2 or 3 of the films used his reel, and now he's like the number 3 guy at ILM. I mean, he's supervised all the animation for like Jurassic Park, Wild Wild West, that sort of thing. So, so some of the people have gone on to do some some interesting things.
Well, now you appear at the conventions. You appear at Chiller. Right?
Yeah,
Chiller.
Which convention? You normally. I try not to do too many of them because there's a lot of them now. But we do Chiller. We do twice a year. We do the Fright Vision in Ohio. FanX, of course, in Baltimore. The Monster Rally. No, not Monster Rally.
Monster Bash.
Monster Bash.
Chicago?
Ron Adams Convention. No, that's right in Pittsburgh, I think. But so what's your favorite film, Ted? Well, let me tell you about that. My favorite film, it's odd, in an interview someone will ask me what my favorite film is.
I was going to ask that.
I know that was down.
That was the second
But we're not going to
question.
have time. We're going to run out.
Well,
We're only on question
go
43.
ahead. Go ahead. I want to hear about it.
A science fiction film is Forbidden Planet, and overall film is It's a Wonderful Life. Has to be my all-time favorite.
2 good choices.
But yeah, it's odd because favorite films overall, the science fiction stuff really isn't coming until way down the list. I mean, I really like It's a Wonderful Life, Citizen Kane, Magnificent Seven, that sort of stuff. The films that just happen to be, to me, those films when they work out, everything is perfect. The cast is perfect, the editing is perfect, the acting is perfect, and it's very rare you get a film like that where so many things can screw up in a film.
Yeah.
If any one individual element is really bad, it can take down the whole film. If your editing is just awful, if your acting is awful, if your sound is awful, you can get ruined in the lab. So there's so many things in a film that can go wrong to screw up your film. So when you see a film that comes out, and not only is the film technically good, but the acting is great and everything else works in the movie, it's a very tough thing. A lot of luck is involved.
Stanley Kramer even said one time he'd be making a film, and he's made some great films. He said, you just know it's not gelling, it's not working.
Yep.
So it happens to everybody. So quickly, before we got to wrap up in a minute, I just want to know what future goals, future plans?
Well, right now, like I said, we're doing this thing of ours. That's the main thing to do right now. As soon as we're done with that, we may move into doing The Boys from New Jersey, or another movie for HBO or whoever, whatever. But we're just going to take this one, one step at a time, and then hopefully go into something else that's even bigger.
Well, Ted, thanks a million.
Ah,
I really
no problem.
appreciate your being here and sharing all this with us. Look for SPFX. It's a great magazine, and the new movie that Ted's working on. I'll see you next time, Front Row. I don't think I've ever laughed quite as hard on any of our shows before. Thanks a lot, Ted. We had a great time. Nice hearing about all your projects, and I hope you're all enjoying every edition of Front Row. See ya.
Well, thank you very much. This was nice being here, and I'll see you later.